all of you, and thank you so much for joining us in this special roundtable in honor of Emirati Women's Day in collaboration with Identity and Casamia. Following this, we'll have an amazing workshop hosted by Dastaangoi to allow our thoughts to percolate and to dive deeper into our discussions. I'm Anisha, and I'm the editor of Identity. I'm going to be the moderator for this discussion today. And to start, let's go around, maybe from you, Wafa, and introduce ourselves and speak a little bit about our latest projects.
Hi everyone, my name is Wafa Al-Falahi. I'm a multidisciplinary designer and artist, I would say too. I initially have a degree in interior design from the American University of Sharjah. After getting my degree, I kind of started to explore product design through different programs like Tanween and Athath. And then I went forward to doing a few art programs at the Cultural Foundation. And now I'm a fellow at the Salama bint Hamdan Foundation for Emerging Artists. Apart from that, I also have my own practice called Sorbet Studios. So it's more of a creative studio where we do a lot of branding, interior design. So it's a very inclusive sort of space to create different experiences, I think. And I also, well, at the current moment, I'm working on a few projects that are mainly within F&B. Apart from that, I'm finalizing my work with the fellowship that I'm in, which is a little more artistic, so not really like design oriented in any way, but I just felt like it was an interesting challenge to kind of take on.
Hi everyone, I'm Noura Al-Awar. I'm the creative director of Studio D04. My background is in architecture, and our studio focuses on culture and new ideas of how to implement new heritage in whether it's architecture, interior products, or product design. We are multidisciplinary.
Hi, I'm Afnan Amin. I'm the operations director at Studio D04. My background is interior design as well as architecture, and we work very closely together in projects. I'd say one of our latest projects that we're working on is a dental clinic and creating a very different experience to what we have previously. And it's very exciting. Hope to share it soon when it's completed.
Hi everyone, I'm Fatma Zaabi. I'm the managing director of Studio D04. I will not add too much about the studio, but maybe about myself and what I lead in the studio. So I come from a background of architecture, and I have a master's degree in material science and digital fabrication and digital technologies. And what I focus in the studio is leading the product design aspect in the studio. And what I try to do is basically reimagining our crafts in a more modern way. So kind of bridging between digital technologies and handmade objects.
I'm Aliya Al-Mazroui, product and interior designer. I've been in the field for the past 8 years, and I started with product design, and later on I decided to shift to interior. I've been in interior for the past 3 years, and after that experience I feel like I felt myself more back to product design, so I'm in that shift going back. Recently I've been doing sculptures. Since I've been doing like small pieces, I wanted to develop into larger like artistic sculptures, because all of my designs were basically functional, organic furniture. I'm most famous for chairs. I love chairs. I love to see people interacting with the piece, because when it's a table, you don't really see much interaction as a chair, and everybody uses a chair in a different way when it comes to the way they sit or how they would use it and where they would use it. Today, I'm studying sculptures. I have 3 projects coming soon, maybe by the end of 2025, inshallah.
Hi, my name is Reem Al-Gamsi. I'm the founder of Architects Design Studio. I'm an architect, and at our studio we handle a range of projects like residential projects, healthcare projects. We also do interior design. At the moment, we're in the process of delivering a hospital, an extension to an existing hospital as well. I'm very excited about a mosque that's inshallah, going to be completed soon. And we've expanded into F&B as well. So that's a first time experience for us, which I'm very excited about.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Leila Youssef. I'm the design director and co-partner at Say Studio. Before working at Say Studio, my business partner and I had met at Perkins & Will. I was there for 7 years previously. And then we opened up Say Studio in 2018. We have an office here in Dubai. We have an office in Riyadh as well that we opened a couple of years ago. We do mostly corporate spaces, but we do some hospitality F&B as well. In terms of corporate spaces, we've designed for Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, PwC, Pepsi, a range of different clients across the region here. We've worked in Kuwait, in Cairo, and other places. And right now we have a 50,000 square meter, 20-floor project in Riyadh is our main project that we're working on right now.
Hi, I'm Salam Al-Kitbi. I would be a different person here, coming from a different field. But the connection is that I've worked in art and culture for so long, for 8 years in Dubai, and art culture, and then moved to Medina Jumeirah. The difference is that I will be the host, let's say, hosting the creativity somewhere. And if you know Medina Jumeirah, it's the essence of culture, the essence of heritage of the UAE, in a way that it's internationally present to anyone who wants to visit and see the Dubai or the UAE from a different perspective, from an uplifted, luxurious perspective. So I'm so happy to be here to meet the beautiful ladies and the experiences you have in architects, in design, in product design. I'm really impressed in those 5 minutes I spent with you.
This is Majda Al-Awadi. I'm multidisciplinary designer, a self-taught, and my background is civil engineering. I came into this field of design based on my curiosity and my love to design. I started 10 years back with JOD Design, and recently I have 3 companies, which is JOD Design and HSL Studio and Blocks Jewelry. So we have been working in multiple projects recently, and these projects is different in terms of nature. So we do have in jewelry and in product design, we are focusing more into furniture pieces, which has a cultural base. And all of these products that we are designing, it has a story that relates to Emirati culture, tradition, and we're trying to bring back the essence of our tradition into something very modern and can be used in a day-to-day basis. I think that's what I have.
Hi everyone, my name is Alzaina Luta, and I'm also an emerging designer, architect, interior designer. I would say I wear multiple hats throughout all of my projects and throughout everything that I do. I've launched my own little practice last year that focuses a lot about research. I think a lot of what we also miss in our culture is to look at the research, the archives, what our ancestors have left for us. So what I do is a lot, is kind of merging these, kind of the design aspect, the research aspect, kind of looking back at all of these multiple elements together and building a stories. I really enjoy storytelling throughout my work. I make sure that people, when they walk through anything that I've worked on, designed on, they understand the story behind it. They have their own kind of look and feel and understanding of what that space is, and kind of submerge in the experience that I'm trying to create. I have 2 ongoing projects with 2 great clients. Really enjoying working with them right now, and hopefully they'll be announced very soon. Both of them are actually going to be throughout the October and November months, but I'm very also looking forward for both of these projects to come to life.
I'd like you guys to think about what made you first fall in love with your field of work, because we're from very different disciplines. Would you like to share?
I think from a very young age, I looked at the creative side in a very different way. I've always been told I looked at things differently, I drew things differently, I even made things differently with my own hand, and I think that grew with me as I went through school and university, and now in my work and work industry. I feel like I have this very different touch and different look to how things are made as well, not just the story behind it. I think that's what I connect most with when it comes to looking at the crafts that we create, as well the outcome and the experience. So I believe that's kind of also what drives me.
For me, it's always the material and the geometry. So the material is always like we do have emerging material every day, and we can see the beauty of each and every material. So I can create one product, like let's say a cup of a cup of glass, but I can make it in marble, and I can make it in clay. I can make it in a different type of material. So what touch that you have to add into that cup. Another thing is that how to add your touch in terms of geometry. For me, I don't like the flowable item, which I'm trying to enhance recently. But for geometry, there is something I'm attached to when it comes to geometry: triangles, rectangles, lines connecting to each other. So even as Zaina said, that and at young age, I always used to have my notebook and keep drawing lines. And whenever I'm in a boring meeting, I will go and just draw on the side. Like the minutes will be 1-2 line, and the other page will be full of sketches. So those type of geometry and the curiosity to explore more materials, innovative materials, the blend between something that's unexpected, like you blend something on glass with a clay or with marble and wood, but in a different way. That's what made me fall in love more with what I am creating and the design field in general.
For me, honestly, I never really, when I went to university, I never was able to choose what I wanted to study. I honestly wanted to go for biology because I was really interested in studying the DNA. I was interested in studying diseases. So I was interested in life at a molecular level. And then when I went to university, it was not really, I didn't have my, science dream girl journey. So yeah, I mean, my parents kind of put me in a reality check of kind of crushed my dreams. That's okay. And then I went for interior architecture because I felt like that was the only way I could blend in my love for every discipline I've ever enjoyed. Like I always enjoyed biology, I've enjoyed the sciences. I used to enjoy fashion design. Like I wanted to be everything. And my parents couldn't really do anything about it. They were just like, okay, I guess you do you. As long as you have a job after you graduate, then it's fine. But that's why I chose architecture, interior architecture, because I felt like I could blend all the disciplines I ever enjoyed into one place. Especially when we look into research or working with different clients, different people. I feel like as I grow more into the discipline itself, I kind of see ways in which my younger self feels fulfilled and that I could touch on multiple disciplines in one way.
I enjoy working with artists from different fields because we have to tell the story of their art. We have to tell the public about their creativity in a way or another. And specifically focusing on Emirati women, it's really inspiring to see them grow and they become mothers on the other side, and then their creative aspect from the other side. And they keep creating because creation happens either as a birth or a creation of a birth of a project. So I love how creativity indulge within the women of the UAE, and they always have this heritage culture infused in their work, and even if it's a small touch or if it's a major touch. And we have, as a communicator, as a marketers, to actually explain it to the public in an easy way and tell their story, because each piece is a story to tell.
Can you tell me a little bit, just a snippet of a memory where you're like, yes, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't change it for the world?
For me, it's more about how I grew up. My mother was always the creative one in the family, and she always created this space for us to create with her. Any project we had, we do with her. She always took ceramics classes and then drawing class and sewing class, and she would bring it all home and show us what she did and teach us these techniques that she learned. We had murals at home where she would let us paint. She would let us do whatever we want. Even as children, if I scribbled on the wall, it wasn't a bad thing. She would encourage it. So when she saw that I did take that interest, she pushed me and she took me to classes and all the creative aspects of any class that she'd find, she would take me with her or sign me up. So then when I saw that I was really interested in this, it was a no-brainer. I just always wanted something creative, study anything creative. But then interior and architecture was more concrete creativity for me. It was something that you study, you search, you see materials, you see inspiration, you put everything together, and then you build it. So that's how I felt in love with this field, and it was the aha moment for me from childhood.
We grew up, I think our generation grew up where we saw Dubai growing, the UAE in general growing in terms of architecture, interior. I witnessed Burj Khalifa being built. I witnessed Dubai Mall being built, Ferrari World, and the Terminal 3, for example. And during our education in the university, they took us to field trips, actually, to those spaces. Like, we visited the airport when it was being built. We visited, oh, sorry, my phone. We visited Abu Dhabi when they were building the Ferrari World. For me, that was the moment that really made me want to be part of this field, because I saw how we built our city and inspired me to put my mark on it. Because what we noticed is they're bringing all of those international companies to kind of create this kind of landscape, skyscrapers, and define our architecture I would say, style. I felt like we as Emiratis, we need to put our kind of footprint as well and our identity into it. So that's what made me and Noura and Afnan now like trying to create that aspect, create in 50 years, what are they gonna look back at as architecture that's made by Emiratis? So that's why we're part of this field, and that's why we wanna do what we're doing right now.
Preem, and I have a different question for you. How was it when you first started out? Like, what helped you break into the market when you first started your studio?
It was very, very challenging at the time because I started almost 11 years now. And at the time, I felt like I didn't have a precedent in terms of like Emirati architect woman starting her own business. And being an architect, obviously I had zero background in business. All I knew was design. And so trying to bridge that gap between design and architecture, it was very, very challenging. And I felt like my growth was unplanned in a way. I was just going with the flow. I've reached to a point where, okay, I've figured out some things, but obviously there's so much more for me to learn. But I'm at a pivotal point in my life, and we were discussing this with Fatma just now. And I feel like, you know what, I might want to step back a little bit from the business aspect of things, because I feel like it began to strip away that creativity in my process. So, I mean, it's been an interesting path, a major learning curve, but it's also eye-opening because I feel like now I want to approach things a bit differently.
Yeah, I want to answer your first question, and then I want to add something to what Fatma was saying, actually. So for me, the journey was sort of similar, the influence of my childhood. And as a child, I used to go to all of these locations around Dubai and be very, very inspired by the things that I was seeing there. I used to go in and I would rank public spaces and come back to my mom like, that's a 7 because I like this and this. And I was like 5 years old and judging places. But I was so inspired by, I think we're so lucky growing up here and all the spaces that we have here that we have access to. So I was also very artistic, constantly drawing things. My mom would just give me pen and paper, leave me there for for a long time. And then I would just draw my whole childhood. So when it came to university, similar to you, I actually, my parents had sort of pushed me away from going into art because I think that they felt that it wasn't maybe, wouldn't make money doing that necessarily. So I actually studied business. That was my first degree. I studied business. But I'm not doing the business side of it in my work today. So I studied business, and then I actually went into sales for a while. And everybody looks at it and they're like, how did you go from business to sales to design? Because then I went back and did design, but I couldn't, like I have a bug for design, it's all in me all of the time, basically. So I would go to business school and then I'd come home and draw, paint, do the things all of the time. Same thing, sales, coming home, always drawing, creating. And then I was like, I can't live my life like that. There needs to be a creative outlet in my life. That's why I went back and studied interior design. And actually, I think all of those things were part of the path. I had to go on that journey, and it's helped me in a lot of ways. My business partner actually handles the business side of it. I focus on the design part. I don't think I would feel fulfilled if I just did the business part, but we overlap with each other. He's actually trained as a designer as well. So we overlap with each other in a lot of the roles that we play, and I think probably you guys do too, with your different roles. But the thing that I wanted to add to what you were saying earlier was, so my mother is American, and I've spent a lot of my life kind of in between both places. And one of the things that I've heard other people say about Dubai specifically, and I hate hearing this, but I'm sure everybody's heard it. They say that Dubai is fake. It doesn't have culture. And I really hated hearing that so much growing up. But I remember somebody had said this to me when I lived in the US, and I loved his outlook on it. And he said, you know what, actually, like people say that there's no history here, there's no culture here, there's no, these buildings that you go to in Europe and you see they've been there for hundreds of years. And he's like, you know what, you're witnessing it here. You're part of it. You are part of the journey. And all of us here are part of building that. We are building the landscape here. And how amazing is that? When you look at it and say, okay, maybe these buildings haven't been there for hundreds of years, but we are the people who are putting these today. And people, in our future can look back and like be proud of the things that we did. But the other thing that it also just made me wonder as you were talking now, obviously everybody says like the population, the percentage of the population that's from here. It makes me wonder, and I don't know if anybody's got the statistic on this, what percentage of the people practicing in architecture, maybe architecture and interior design are Emiratis, and what's the percentage that are Emirati female? I would love to know that. I don't know if anybody can get the data on that, because I think, I don't really come across, and I know I'm half, so people, sort of see me one way or the other sometimes, but I don't find that many in our field. And I think some of you I've met you before, and some of you I've not met before. I have heard of some of you before as well. But yeah, I'm just fascinated to know that statistic.
I also want to talk about, like, you raised a very important part of identity that has come up among all of you. And several of you have been part of international exhibitions and symposiums and things like that. So I'd like to get some more insights as to how did that opportunity come up, first of all? How can Emirati designers gain from such opportunities? The other question is, how did you choose to represent Emirati culture when you were doing so? So, for example, Wafa, you were part of an exhibit now in Los Angeles, right? Can you tell us a little bit about how that, how that came about, and how, you got some of your international opportunities, and what led you there?
I think, my first opportunity to exhibit internationally was in, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not, it was in Paris for Maison, how would I say the name?
Maison Objet.
Thank you. Because I always butcher the name. But yeah, so that was my first experience. It came to me actually from doing downtown design. I was a part of an exhibition where I had showed a table lamp that I was working on, made of pomegranate bioplastic, which is a material I was working on. And then eventually from there, I kind of got that opportunity as well through the organizers of Downtown Design to exhibit in Paris. Recently, actually, I also, like you said, exhibited my ceramics or my sculpture pieces in Los Angeles as a part of Friday Gallery's showcase. These opportunities really come mostly from the people who are here. So my opportunity with Friday Gallery came from Fatma Mahmoud. So it's mostly people in the community who do have connections with other people that are abroad or that exist internationally, that when they see a potential in something that speaks of a story, they kind of initiate that approach, and then you kind of take the conversation further. What was your other question?
How did you choose to represent?
How did I? Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, usually the way I like to approach design, or in general, even the work that I make, I like for it to have an aspect of fun and color. Like, I think for me, that's something that's really important. So even if I'm representing our culture, or I'm representing something that is very autobiographical, because a lot of my work has an autobiographical nature, I celebrate my grandma a lot in my work because I had such a close relationship with her, and I found that the kind of relationship that we had was very specific, because we had all these rituals and all these like traditions, like let's say like applying henna on your hand, on your hair. You know, sometimes when she doesn't want me to run around the house, she'll put it on my feet, so I have to sit there for hours. But I felt like these uncommunicated gestures were very important for me, so I wanted to celebrate her essence essentially in all my work, or in most of the work that I exhibited. And I just felt like, you know, I think it comes from a place of genuinity, where I'm celebrating a figure that is really important to me, but I know that like a figure like her grandmother is also very important to other Emirati people as well, because we also have very close familiar thank you, like relationships. And yeah, I mean, usually I choose to celebrate it in that way, where it comes from somewhere personal, but then it could be extended further as well.
Alia, you were also part of Maison this year. Can you tell us about how you received that opportunity and how that's worked out for you?
Late of 2024, we got invited to participate, and we got the opportunity to choose which design we wanted to represent or exhibit. And looking through all my designs, I had this one specific piece that I designed that was inspired by the French culture and merging it with the Emirati culture. And it was during my residency in Paris. So I chose that piece to represent two cultures combined together at the event. The experience of the event, I feel like it was very proud feeling of being Emiratis for the first time, representing our country in one specific space. So you have like 10 designers, and seeing our flag being put up in the exhibition, and people to know that there are Emirati designers, and it's all based on materials or inspired by our tradition. So that was one of, since in the past I've experienced like in Paris and London and Milan, I felt this was very different because it was on a bigger scale.
This is a question for the Studio D04 as well as Reem, because you all were part of a very important symposium at the Osaka Expo this year. Can you talk a little bit about how that opportunity came up? What were your findings? What was the exchange that happened?
There's so much that happened there. But I just wanted to start off and just add on what they were saying. I think starting off, we've been in the industry for around, this is our 12th year. Starting off as architects and designers, we're very introverted, and we kind of like, oh, it's all going to be about the work. We don't have to put ourselves out there. And then the more we did, the more we've thought, why aren't we putting ourselves out there? I think people relate with people. So when people see a face to the work, that's how we started getting the opportunities. I think mainly 5-6 years in, we're like, we need to get out of our shell. It's time to put our faces out there and meet people, and being in different like circles like this one. And as she was saying earlier, our fabric is very minimal. So this is not the only circle we're in. We're in multi-national circles. We're in interior networks. We have to be in a lot of networks in Dubai, being relevant, having interesting conversations, because that when like most of the networking and magic happens, and people remember you. So they start referring you to exhibitions abroad. You don't know who knows who. And that is the core like thing that I would always like tell people starting their journey. You never know who will like benefit you how. So just keep good relationships with everyone, keep networking. And that's what we started doing, and we noticed that it picked up and we started going places. So for the Osaka, when they approached us, they they wanted to create a interesting like group of people that are their background is not just architecture. I think some of us were architecture firm owners, some of them were researchers, some of them were urbanists. So the conversations that actually happened in Osaka were very, I would say, like deep.
Give recognition to the organizations, to the initiatives that different government initiatives that taken place. So for the Osaka trip, it was really Dubai culture pushing their agenda of us being exposed to other cultures and gaining those experiences to build us up. So we need to give that recognition. It's not just about networking, it's about recognition from those organizations, seeing our work and wanting to grow it and give us the space and the opportunity to do so by supporting us and taking us on those kind of trips or doing those type of symposium. So I think we should be very grateful where we are in the UAE and our leaders and our organizations that give us that kind of support. So I think that's something that we really need to recognize, that even though we are creating the work, it is being recognized by our leaders, about organizations, and they're supporting us. So the experience was not just to have a group of people to interact and network and come up with ideas, but exposing us to Japanese culture, exchange ideas of how their architecture grew. How can we take all of that back and bring it back to our country? Continuing the conversation, actually, the trip wasn't just a one-off thing. There is like a continuous conversation that happened after. They want to create a publication about it. So I think it wasn't just about doing that symposium, but also having an effect of it and how to build it up, how to create support for it, and how to make an impact from that trip back home. The symposium was a group of selected architects, urbanists, designers, researchers that were carefully selected by Dubai Culture. And it was a delegation that went to Osaka. We had a few days of sightseeing in different sites in Japan, indulging ourselves in architecture, building, history, having different conversations. And then during Expo in the UAE Pavilion, we had a 2-day symposium where each participant had the chance to present different topics. And it was very interesting to see how Japanese people would come and listen in and be very intrigued to understand what type of work is actually being carried in our country. A lot of them don't get the chance to actually travel outside of the UAE. So interesting fact about the Osaka Expo is that around 80% of people that visited are Japanese nationals, because they feel like they don't get the opportunity to go abroad and travel. So this is the only opportunity they get exposed to different cultures, different countries, to understand what's happening around the world. So that was the gist of the delegation. I think Reem should talk more about it because I feel like she's excited. She wants to get in.
I think what Noura and Fatma said is absolutely correct. And I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, being brave enough to put yourself out there. And this is something I struggled with for the longest time. I would always shy away from being in the forefront and being in the limelight, as they say. But I think the moment I started to do that, you get not recognition, but people start to know of you. And at the same time, we're so blessed to have, a government entities like the ones we have here in Dubai. We live in a place where they support women so much. They support architects and emerging designers so much. So bring those two together and you get people who, like the people from Dubai Culture, and they would, handpick these people. And I remember having a conversation with one of the organizers, I'm sure you remember, where she said there was a list, but she's like, I handpicked, like I changed it because I wanted to focus on Emirati architects. And for me, that is beautiful because, as you said, we're a minority, and again, back to your question, I'm not sure what the statistics are, how many female architects, Emirati architects are there, and how many of them are practicing. So to bring all of us together on that trip was extremely insightful. And for the longest time, I was longing for that kind of exchange, which is why when I came in, we were like hugging and so excited to see each other, because that exchange was so impactful for me. To sit with these individuals who are on different timelines in their path, in their career path, and to just learn from them, whether someone who's just starting out or whether someone who's been there for 20 years and has so much wisdom to share. So in that sense, it's been incredible, and I think we're very lucky to have been part of that. And in terms of the identity part, one thing I especially enjoyed, because in Expo itself, the majority of the people visiting were Japanese. So to be there in our abayas and our traditional clothes was liberating. It was beautiful. Being on that metro with like abayas, and then the guys with their ghitras, and it was beautiful, and everybody would look at us, stop us, ask to take photos with us. So, you know, I could get used to this.
No, we don't get that.
No. So yeah, it was really, really nice.
All right. Laila, I wanted to ask you, because you've designed for so many MNCs and things like that. If we are an interior designer, an architect, or even a product designer that wants to get in on that and, you know, try to get those type of opportunities, what's a good place to start? What has helped you, you know, clinch those kind of commissions that you've got?
You know, I'm listening to all of you, and I feel like my networks are very different from your networks. And I think it's maybe just in the way that I was brought up and the people that I kind of was raised around or whatnot. But I think for me, it started off with working at Perkins & Will. So I came from a background where we had done quite a lot of blue chip projects previously. And then when we transitioned over to set up our own studio, it felt like a natural kind of connection, because we had already had a network that was there. And a lot of the clients, because it's exactly what you said, it's about the people. So there were people that we had, like Google, for example. We've been designing for Google, even at Perkins & Will, since like probably 2013, 2014, a very, very long time. And we've just kind of stayed with them. And when we moved over and set up our own studio, then they approached us over there as well. So it's about forming relationships with people. So much of it is about forming relationships with people. I'm sure we all get RFPs and we all get contacted by people, but then at the end of the day, you're chosen for who you are and what you bring to the table, what your knowledge base is, and that human connection that you build with your client. I always say that for me, having a project is like having a baby. And I know a lot of us are mothers, and so maybe relate to that in different ways, but I connect so much with the project that I work on that it feels like a baby that you put out into the world, and it's so personal. Even when you're designing for a multinational, and in a lot of ways, like you mentioned that it's autobiographical, your work. For us, it's not as much, because we're designing for a corporate entity, and so we're representing who they are in that sphere. But at the same time, it's still you that you put into it to be able to design for them. And it comes from your own mind. And I think there's nothing kind of more beautiful in my world. I don't think there's anything more beautiful than seeing a space in your head and then physically moving through that space. So I guess to answer your question, I think it all comes back to the networking aspect of it. Growing up, I think my like Emirati side of the family, the women in my side of the family are quite, we don't necessarily put ourselves forward, a little bit more like low key. My American side is very different, so maybe I take more from that kind of side in a social sort of way. But yeah, you've got to put yourself out there and form relationships with people.
Well, Azena, I wanted to ask you. You also work for an international firm. You're working with Gensler at the moment, and you also have you're trying to do some research and stuff on the side. You've got commitments with AUS. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're managing this, and how does one feed into the other?
I think what drives me is the passion. I think what I do is my passion. So if I'm passionate about something, I put my energy into it. I really give it my all. Sometimes we do have the periods where you need to take a break from this or that kind of prioritize what's going on as well. And it's about being selective as well. Like, I'm not gonna put myself out there if I feel like I'm not connected to the opportunity. I started being more selective of what I kind of decide to approach or look at, or whoever I decide to work with. And part of it is giving back to the community. I feel like I have this urge and need and just wanting to give back to either the community that has provided for me, so hence AUS. I think going back there as well, getting to know people from different networks, people from different backgrounds as well, would enhance that networking aspect, and it would bring different backgrounds together as well. And I think it completely revolves around passion. Like, how do you look at these things? How do you kind of craft these projects and experiences and opportunities to also give back to other people? So we've been talking a lot about what we're receiving, but also we are the source of giving back. I could prefer one of my friends to a project that maybe I don't personally feel connected to work with, but I know that she is or he is. So I believe we are all also that network that we've been talking about on this table.
Majid, you also are in multiple disciplines. You have like 3 companies now that you're working with. So how do you manage your time across?
Actually, my biggest challenge was to manage my day-to-day job with
you
my
had another
companies.
job as well, okay.
So to have that balance actually took me a while to find the balance, and to find it was to find the right people to work with, whether the team which I'm working with in my day-to-day job and my team who are managing and doing the creative work on the other 3 companies. So having the right people, it took me a while to find the right people to work with. First thing is never hire someone because you know them or because they are part of the family. In business, many things happens. A lot of issues comes up and you might end up losing a friend or a family or something happens. I think some people can relate to this. And another thing is to select the right person who have the creativity and mindset and vision in line with what you are looking for. So if you are going through a path that at the end your aim is money, or is your aim is creativity or recognition or to be famous, so which path that person is going for, it has to be aligned with what you are looking for. Another thing is, if I'm a designer, I will do the designing work. I will not interfere into the business part because I don't know how to do business. That was my struggle for the last 5 years. No, I mean, the first 5 years, I was unable to manage the business part. So I started from home in terms of business 10 years back. And at that time, I was doing everything, like from marketing, and my marketing is just Instagram. And it's a really good tool. Like I have found many of my clients through Instagram. And then a word of mouth that this product goes to someone, and then you can find the name on the product, and then people start to know you. And how I found my business manager, who was a big change in my business path, is like we have been through this collaboration project, and through this collaboration we had a fight. And during that fight I thought that this project is doomed, I'm not going to deliver. And next day is the delivery, and they have the list of people, and they were like VIPs. Definitely I'm going to be screwed up. And then the next day he came up with the product, modified one, and he stood there. At that time, I said, that's the right person to have a business or partnership with. And there where I started Ajzal with him. Mr. Said Al-Ketbi, he's my business manager. I know it's a Women's Day, but again, I have to give some credit to the guys as well. So to find the right person to manage your business, and we say as a creative side, to have that space. Finally, I'm not dealing with people. I'm not going into that part. And I have my 100% focus on my designs. So here where it came, like I have the right time to do that part. When it comes to marketing and taking the photo shoot, I just assigned a person who is pro in that, and I will not interfere. Because the more I interfere, the more time I lose into that process. So let the person do that work, and I will focus on my task. Then when it comes to the three businesses, they are somehow different in nature. Like jewelry design is different than product design, is different than graphic design. I started as graphic design, and I learned everything myself at my age. Like at 10 years back, we didn't have the resources that the new generation have right now. And the way that I have learned the things like from the basic, not based on scientific. Like I haven't studied interior design or a graphic design or even architect. I come from a civil engineering background, which is totally different world. That thing is somehow it added my touch into that field. So I don't go with the book, because if I go with the book, I will be similar to everyone else. I go with my own way. Now, when it comes to jewelry, one of the opportunities that's been given to us, me and Zena, we have been into the Talent Atelier program by Dubai Culture, and we had the chance to go and visit Van Cleef workshops, and we have a really solid program which enhanced our capability in jewelry design. Those type of opportunity, it will give you the skill, the knowledge, the network, the exposure that you require to flourish more into that particular field. I can see my design changed from a self-taught part to a design which have that essence of that particular field. When it comes to furniture design, I took the product design aspect more into the furniture. The thing is, which I struggled a lot to make it comfortable and to make it more sellable, because I focus into details, selection of the right material. And when I end up with a product, that it is for certain only, not for everyone. So we have this philosophy in our businesses, me and my team, that we have to do something for specific people and we have to do something for everyone. We want to see our product everywhere, not only for a particular segment of the society or the culture. Another thing is that the connection, yes, it matters a lot. And recently, I was just discussing with the girls before the interview that we have to be there out into the communities so people can relate the product to the person behind it. Like in many occasions, people knows the business, knows the product, but they don't know the face behind it. So another opportunity was to participate with the House of Sadu in Kuwait. This is more into the Gulf culture related field, and this is totally different field than the international one, where you see the same mindset, the same concept, but in a different iteration from different let's say person from the Gulf region. So in that exhibition, where each person will represent the Sadu craft in his own way. So there was a person from Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and Bahrain, and myself from UAE. Each one have a different iteration to Sadu. And it was really nice to see that pieces of jewelry in an art gallery where people were interested in each particular person, how they are crafting that material. So managing it, it needs a dedication, it needs time. You need to be into that field. You need your breakup points, or like you have to isolate yourself. Sometimes I isolate myself by taking a break from social media, because social media by itself, it gives you like, sometimes you feel you are left back, like people are progressing and you are left back. So that type of thing, that once you reach to that level, you need to just stop it.
Salama, we're coming to the end of it. So one of the topics that has come up quite a bit is just putting yourself out there. And as a marketing communication expert on this table, what do you think would be a good approach, not just to the ladies here, which they can take forward in their practices as well, because it's really important. Social media has become very important to them. Marketing is extremely important for any business. So, but also for younger designers who are just starting out in the field, and they are trying to craft their identity but don't want to be stuck in a certain way, because they're going to grow, they're going to change with time. Their practice is going to develop.
Yeah, my advice would be, don't do everything by yourself. Have people around you to support you. You are the creative mind, you are the creative artist of your own work, but that doesn't mean you are the business partner that you should have, or you are the logistics who has to deliver, and you have to be everything and everywhere, because that will consume you like 100%. So focusing on your creative side, number one, but then how to put out yourself is just be there. Just simply be there, be confident about your story. You are telling a story. There's no many like 100 or 1,000 of people telling the same story. It's your own story, your own creation. So you have to be confident going out and talking. When I say going out, it's as simple as a small group of friends, then going out with exhibitions or going out with circles like this. It's just being there, talking, and building the connections and the network. Social media is a powerful tool, but it's not the only tool. It's good to be there, to have a team who has social media expert around you. Very important for any artist is not to work alone, is to build the team around you. That will support you. And when one day you're down, they are there happy and vibing, and they feel like the energy is up again. But if you're only yourself consuming everything by yourself, you will never be able to continue and build the story you want. So it's very important to build a team around you, and never be afraid to build a team and saying, oh, it might cost me a lot. No, start with one, then the next one, and slowly you will see yourself having your own center or your own space over the years. So I'm so happy to see that there is emerging artists, and there is also pro in the field. It's not only emerging, but they are very, very strong. And seeing that growing in the UAE, where it's like dreams come true. It's the place where everything is facilitated for us, specifically UAE nationals. Everything we want, we can knock the doors and try to find a way. It's not hard anymore like it used to be. And the support of our leaders, the support of our community, like even in the community themselves, when they see an artist or see a person working hard, they support either on social media or reality. So it's really nice community in the UAE that we can build and evolve around it over the years.
Thank you so much, Liz. It's been a great discussion. I've learned personally so much about what it means to be an Emirati woman in this field, and it's really insightful for me as a journalist as well, just to learn, different aspects of this country and what gifts it's given us all. So thank you all for being here.